Well, our next speaker is Saurav Pathak. So, Saurav is a VP products at Bagisto, and he will be speaking on how they secured the open source project Bagisto. So, over to you, Saurav.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Saurav Pathak, and today I'm going to speak on the topic of Community Spotlight Securing Open Source Project Bagisto. Now, what is Bagisto? Bagisto is an open source e-commerce platform that is built for merchants to begin their e-commerce journey effortlessly. It is based on some of the popular technology, Laravel and Vue.js. Laravel, which is one of the most popular PHP framework with elegant syntax that makes the development process simple without sacrificing application functionality. Now, Bagisto is not just another e-commerce platform. It's more like a platform-driven commerce, a commerce which is made for the developers, by the developers, but a very simple uses by the merchants. So any developer community or a developer who is having a good experience of working on OOPS concept or CRUD operation on any framework, they can easily use Bagisto to make their own e-commerce platform. Bagisto is offering a more of like a post-commerce solution. So it's not just the commerce that you're getting with Bagisto, but a many different use cases. Like you can build marketplaces, you can build mobile apps, you can build your progressive web apps, POS solution, SaaS solution, a live streaming solution, and many more you can have with Bagisto. Now, Bagisto, right now, Bagisto is having more than 10,000 plus live websites of merchants running live on Bagisto, and there are more than 5,000 plus community members who are like actively participating in Bagisto. Now, when we talk about 10,000 plus live merchants and the merchants having a billion product SKUs, security plays a major role for us in order to continuously improve Bagisto and keep it secure from all the vulnerabilities and the scripts running in Bagisto. Now, in order to follow a good security practice, there are two levels. One is the one that we implement at the core level, and second is the one that we follow for the community contribution level. So the very first the level I'm going to discuss is the code development process and what security practice we follow. Now, Bagisto is made on Laravel. So we are using the Laravel authentication system, which is a robust user authentication process. Laravel uses, providers, and guards to facilitate the authentication process. Bagisto has strengthened the hashing algorithms SH256 used in password management. Bagisto now supports Argon 21D13 through the PHP Sodium extension, which requires the libsodium library version 1.0.13 or higher to prevent the brute force attacks. To protect your application from CSRF attack, we are using CSRF tokens in each request to avoid external third parties' fake requests. Bagisto limits a request in some paths like JWT authentication, etc. to prevent the DDoS attacks. We are using Laravel's Blade syntax. Now, Laravel Blade is one of the theming components of Laravel. So the Laravel Blade syntax will escape any HTML objects to prevent the cross-site scripting vulnerability. For the SQL injection, we are protecting against that by using prepared statements, which are going to escape any user input that may come in through your forms so that attackers are not able to add their custom queries. We are properly validating all the requests to avoid unnecessary data insertion in the database. We are properly managing all the session handling paths for both the customers and admin section portion, which are having a different guards as well. We are regularly checking all the third-party dependency. Like for Bagisto, there are a few third-party dependency which we use, like social logins or like socialite function. So we keep a check on all the third-party dependency that we use, that if they are up to date, if there is not insecurity vulnerability, and then we make sure to make use of third-party dependency in Bagisto. So a simple admin URL like an admin or a backend makes it easy to target attacks on specific location using automatic password caching. To prevent against this type of attack, Bagisto by default creates a random admin URI when you install the product. So suppose it's a very common guessing that if there's an e-commerce and if I want to open a backend, I can just type the URL of the e-commerce store, and after slash I can put admin or like admin login. Now that is a very common guessing for any type of attacker. But with Bagisto, we are not doing that. We are randomly changing the URL, so it's hard for attacker to guess what would be the proper URL for the admin. It makes the admin panel quite secure to log in. Bagisto no longer explicitly sets file system permission. Instead, we recommend that certain files and directories be writable in a development environment and read only in the production environment. Bagisto safeguards your store from click tracking attacks by using an X-frame option HTTP request header. From time to time, we also publish security report from our security teams whenever they identify a vulnerability. So they publish those bugs with a proper CVE number and also a resolution. So in that report, you can get a more detailed version of like a CVE number of like a bug which is like universally accepted, and you can also get to know that in which version of Bagisto we have fixed that bug. So the version number of the Bagisto is also mentioned apart with that bug. Now Google Recapture it provides a greater level of security for both the storefront and admin UI that is available with standard captcha to verify customer accounts and enhance security when admin users log in. Bagisto also prevent cache poisoning, so no one can change the cache contents to include different pages from the same site. Bagisto also secures cron.php to run in a browser to prevent it from being used in a malicious exploit. Bagisto two-factor authentication improves security by requiring two-step authentication to access the admin UI from all the devices. When security vulnerabilities are discovered by the researcher, proper reporting channels are often lacking in various open source platforms. As a result, some vulnerabilities are not reported properly. The purpose of having a security.txt file format is to give the security researchers the information they need to report the finding. So in the txt file, they mention in what format you need to report the security bugs of the find, and that way we get the mail from different researchers, and also we do have a bounty programs as well where we reward the reporter with some bounties. So community plays a very important role in the population of any open source project. The how much open source is popular, it depends how many active community members are there and how many people are using the project. Now at Bagisto, there are more than 5,000 plus active community members who are actively participating in maintaining the project as well, and also like checking on the vulnerabilities and adding PRs and so many things. Now with community, what comes, there are so many pull requests and you need to keep a check on those pull requests if those pull requests does not contain any malicious scripts which can hamper your open source project. So with Bagisto, with so many merchant sites running and with the community participating in the open source in the pull request for Bagisto, we need to keep a proper check on those. So there are a few things that we follow a lot. The very first thing are the test cases. So we have prepared unit and functional test cases which are regularly run on each pull request with the help of CI/CD pipelines, which are integrated via GitHub workflow. These pipelines are a practice focused on improving the software delivery throughout the software development lifecycle via automation. In this way, whenever a new contributor creates a pull request, all the test cases are run automatically. And this is thanks to GitHub Workflow, a fantastic tool. It has really pulled out a lot of stress from our maintainers who keep a check on the PRs. So it's not like we need to check all the PRs line by line for each and every code. We have all those test cases prepared for unit and functional testing. And those tests will make sure that all the PR pass through all the test cases. And once they have passed, then only that PR comes to our maintainer for checking the few business logic and the functional testing. On every new pull request, our maintainers regularly reviews all the codes for the functionality checks, vulnerability checks, as well as the code quality also. Last, Even we have enabled security policies, security advisories, and depend about alerts, which tell us about the latest vulnerability and fixes as well. In this way, we make sure that we at least don't have any vulnerability in our dependencies as well. So these are some of the best practices that we have followed in the core code development process and also in the community contribution. While following all these processes, we make sure that Bagisto remains secure for its merchants who are using and for the merchants about to come to use Bagisto. And since the Bagisto follow all those security practices, that makes the e-commerce very much secure to use, and also our promise and trust the merchant that have on us to keep delivering a good e-commerce platform. So that's all from my side. Thank you all for your time.
Hey, what a great session, Amol. It was amazing to hear how our customers are using GitHub to solve real life challenges.
Yeah, I'm sure our viewers got some key insights on how to secure their open source projects by enabling security policies, security advisories, and dependabot.